Okay, let's see if the light's not good again.
It's okay. The light will be
Okay,
fine.
Okay, take two. See if anything happens. Okay, cool. Um. Oh wait, yeah, wait. Okay, so wait. I think. Oh, good. I think someone's. Oh wait. Okay. Well, they didn't left.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Oh wait. I think it was. Okay, because. Okay, wait. Hi. I think I know who this is. Okay, cool. It is who I think it is. All right. Just gonna get. Okay. All right. So, yo. Yeah. You know. Oh, I think I know what's happening for this. All right. I'm just gonna give it. Oh wait. Okay. Is there a chat?
Yes, there is.
Should be. Very nice. Okay. This is gonna be. You know, when people watch this, they're just gonna have to skip to like minute 5.
When we actually figure out what we're doing. Yeah, so
Yeah, and I've only done it like once.
I've never done a live.
Never done a live?
No, YouTube channel.
Okay. So I'm gonna do is put him Instagram. I love how this is what we're starting with. I really should just rename this, but like, you know.
Anyways.
All right.
I reckon we just go for it, and then people can watch us later as well. And if they join halfway through, they join halfway through. So.
Okay. Anyways. Gotta love technical issues, don't you?
Yeah, this is my favorite actually. I am in love with technical issues.
Okay, so there's 4 minutes and a half. There we go. Okay. Anyways, so this lighting. I might. Okay, here's one of because.
Fine, we ready to go.
Yeah.
We're good.
Oh wait, let me see. our comments on? Ooh. All right, I'm gonna see if this works. Dude, this is like the second time I've done this. Okay.
This is crazy.
I know, right? Anyways, and if all goes to fail, we can also film a normal video, so it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be live. Anyways, okay, so wait, we should pick a location to film this. Whatever. Anyways, okay, so you can just, if you want, you can just start talking.
Yeah.
About
I will
yourself.
introduce myself. My name is Renata. It's a bit of a hard name to pronounce. If you want to shorten it, go for it. I really don't care. Whatever sticks and makes sense in your brain is fine with me, as long as it's something remotely close to my name. Because I have had people that will try and come up with really weird nicknames, which don't really work. But yeah, I used to live here in Portland when I was born here, born and raised, and then I moved to Australia in 2015. And this is the first time I'm back in like almost 8 years.
Long time.
Yeah, a long time.
Long time.
But yeah, I grew up with Eli. And so yeah, it's been pretty cool to like come back and see a whole bunch of people that I haven't seen in a really long time. But yeah, I will answer your questions.
And if you don't have any, then I have a whole list because I asked you guys a while ago, so prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, do you want me to read them? Do you
Yeah,
want
sure.
to?
You read them out.
All right. So I have these into categories: Australia versus U.S., Australia more general, accent, code switch terms, family friends, and then random / miscellaneous / personal. Anyways, starting with Australia versus U.S. Okay. What was your favorite place to go to or be at in Oregon before you left?
Before I left, yeah, obviously. I'd say like my favorite place to like go to would probably be like going hiking, like up to a waterfall or something. Or like I really enjoyed like my homeschool and like going to CC, which is classical conversations, if you don't know what that is. Like classical learning, classical education in a sense. I found that really fun and enjoyable. And also just like going to like Eli's house for homeschool and stuff was great.
Tests.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the basement.
Tests in your basement. I remember that. That was crazy. Yeah. I'd say that's my favorite place. Hiking, going up to mountains, and waterfalls. That was pretty cool.
Nice. All right. How is the weather like in Oregon versus Australia right now?
Right now, so Australia's on the southern hemisphere, America's on the northern hemisphere. So our seasons are flipped. So currently in Australia, it's winter. It's the middle of winter. So it's actually pretty cold. Whereas here it's summer and it's really warm. But it's kind of funny because since I've climatized to Australia, it got to like the high 70s the other day, and people were like, "It's really hot. It's a bit of a warm one," and I'm like, "This is really nice. I really like this weather. It's not too warm, not too cold." But yeah, it's flipped.
Yeah, which sometimes is a little confusing because another question having to do with breaks and stuff. It's still July, like
it's still July. It's still July.
Like the names do not change, but the
seasons do.
And so, but then again, for people like Southern Hemisphere and stuff, like to them, this would seem weird that it is cold when it's winter and that it's hot when it's summer, and whereas for them, it's opposite.
Yeah.
Anyways, next question is, will you miss Portland?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, I missed it. I still miss it when I'm in Australia, and I'm going to miss it when I leave in like 3 weeks. So yeah, yes, I will miss Portland a lot.
How was the transition from the US to Australia? So like when you moved?
It was pretty hard to get used to at first because we left in the fall here, and then we moved, and then it was spring. And it was really weird to get used to the school system because it's like I was about to start 4th grade when I moved, but I had to finish off 3rd grade in Australia, which is kind of crazy because I was like, I'm supposed to be a bigger kid than this, but Australia was like, haha, you're still small. It's like, yeah, okay, fine. But yeah, I was very, very jet lagged when I first got there, and it took me quite a while to really like adjust and be comfortable living in Australia, especially with the weather differences and the time difference. And like my life just was completely flipped. Like it's not like I was gonna wake up the next day and I was gonna go do something with some friends because I didn't have friends in Australia yet. But yeah, that was probably the hardest part, was not having friends at first.
Yeah, it makes sense. I
Mm.
mean, because like going to a whole different country.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Are there any similarities between the States and Australia?
There are actually quite a few similarities. Like the culture is pretty similar, except we don't do tips. Like at your job, no one tips anyone except for my dad, who tips the pizza guy.
Gotta love the pizza guy.
Yeah. A lot of it's the same, but like with like more of an Aussie twist, if that makes sense. Like we don't have good Mexican food, which sucks because I love Mexican food. Like Australia likes more Mexican themed restaurants, but if you get like a proper Mexican place, that's like no one's gonna eat there because no one wants authentic Mexican food. They just like the Mexican theme, which is really annoying. Because my dad says that the best place to get Mexican food in Perth is at our house when he makes it. Because, in all honesty, he's probably right. It's probably the best Mexican food I'll have. Other similarities. We're quite multicultural. There's a lot of different cultures. It's mainly like Asian influence in our society because Australia is right underneath Asia. So we have a lot of Singaporeans, Koreans, Japanese, and Chinese people that migrate to Australia, which is really cool because it's gets to be so diverse, and it's great to like see lots of different cultures and different ways of life. But yeah, it is a currency. We use dollars. That's the same. There's a lot of white people. Same in America, I guess. There's a lot of white people, as well as a lot of other cultures and other colored people, which is great. I love diversity. But yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences.
Yeah, and what are the differences? That was another
What are the
question
differences?
between the US and
All right.
Australia. Segue.
Differences. Your Oreo aisle, where you have all these, like, you got birthday cake Oreos, you got like red velvet, you got all these different kinds of Oreos. That's our Tim Tam aisle. Like, you guys can get your normal like Tim Tams, but like you don't got the chewy caramel Tim Tams, or the Murray River salted caramel Tim Tams, or the double coated white chocolate. There's too many to keep track of. We don't have peanut butter M&Ms. it is one of the saddest things
Interesting.
for me because I love peanut butter and M&Ms. We don't have them. We have like pretty much every other M&M variety that you could think of that lives under the sun, except peanut butter M&Ms. I'm like, what's the deal? You're not gonna do that? Okay. Difference is, like I said, no good Mexican food. We have a different accent, obviously.
Which is, you can probably
You can
tell.
probably tell by my accent.
You want to switch though? You want to real quick? Can you do it?
Yeah, so I code switch. So if I can just like roll back into my American accent, which I normally do when I'm around more Americans.
Like she is right now.
Like I am right now. Yeah, this is my normal accent when I'm around my family and when I'm on call with Eli and whatnot. So yeah. But then it's like pretty easy for me to like roll back right into my Australian accent.
Okay, can you say a sentence that you could easily go between like Australian and American accent? Is there a sentence that's long enough you could have time to switch and just in the middle of it?
Let's see. I guess I'm gonna just like rephrase one of the questions. Like, okay. Let's see.
There's this long one. There's this long one. Ooh, there's this long one. There's like this long one.
Yeah, that's perfect. Right on track. Did you develop an Australian accent by virtue of living in Australia for a while? Yes, I did. I learned to code switch my accents by being around my friends at school that I made. And then I would have a very Australian accent when I'm around them. But by the time I got home, my accent would completely switch to a more American accent, to where it was like basically full American. So yeah, it used to be subconscious. Like I would have no clue that I was actually like switching. But now I have full. Usually, I still like code switch subconsciously, but I can do it consciously, like you've heard me do before. I can like just change it depending on how I feel. But my cousin said that she had a Dutch friend come over and she spoke in her Dutch accent and got a whole bunch of free stuff. So, the Australian accent's going to come out and I'm going to be using really stereotypical language that no one ever uses in Australia. So hopefully get some free stuff. Because who doesn't love free stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So another question is, how do you like the political system in Australia compared to the US?
That is a really good question. That is top tier.
There we go, the Australian accent. There you go.
There we go. Here it is. I really like the Australian political system. They're both democratic, but I feel like Australia is a lot more politically stable, if that makes sense. Like we've got our prime minister, we've got all of our like government people and they're doing their jobs. And like whereas like I came back here and everything is a political statement. Like you say something and it's like you're a Trump supporter. Or it's like in Australia we just like don't have that. No one really cares. Everyone's pretty like relaxed about it. But I mean, in terms of like the actual systems, they're very similar. But yeah, I would prefer the Australian over the American at this point. Just because I feel like it's a lot more like stable and sound than the American at the moment. So there's a lot of controversy going on. And in Australia it's kind of chill. Like we had like our new Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, who's the Prime Minister currently. He kicked out Scott Morrison like a couple years ago because they called for like a revote or whatever. And people voted for Anthony Albanese. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. He won the election. That's great. Hopefully he'll do like a good job. I mean, inflation isn't great, so hopefully he'll handle that a bit better. But yeah, I like the like the political system.
All right, neat. All right, so another question that kind of relates to the seasons one is how do your summer, now this one I asked actually, how do your summer and Christmas breaks work? In
Okay.
terms of where they are in the season and just in terms of where they're in the year.
Okay, so for your school year, for the American school year, you start in September and then you end in June.
For like high school, middle school, not like
Yeah.
colleges who are in October.
Yeah. So you have a crossover. You have the 2023/2024 school year. For Australia, we have the 2023 school year. We start in February and we end in December. And that's our whole year. And we have what we call terms and semesters. So 2 terms is a semester, 1 term is a term. And so a term is 9, 10, or 11 weeks, depending on what school you go to, whether it's public or private. Usually it's 10 weeks though. So you have a 10-week term, and then you have 2 weeks of a break, and then you'd have another 10 weeks, and then you have another 2 weeks, and then you go to school for another 10 weeks, 2 weeks break, and then at the 4th term, which is the end of the year, you'd have your 10-week term, and then you would have a 6 to 8 week break for the summer. So yeah, our summer break starts in December, which is Christmas time. Our Christmas breaks are in summer. We have a warm Christmas, which even though I've lived there for almost a decade, still does not feel right. I still don't know how I feel about going down to the beach and swimming on Christmas. It's not doesn't feel right. And then our winter breaks are right now for me in Australia. I'm on my semester break, which is my winter break. So I have, since I go to a private school, we start our school days earlier and end them later. So that time gets added up, and then we end up having a whole extra week of holidays in between our semesters. So I have a 3-week break in between semester 1 and 2. So yeah, that's pretty much how our breaks work. As we get off school for the end of the year, and then it's like a couple weeks, and then it's Christmas. Like we don't have in the middle of a term, there's like 2 weeks of Christmas break, and then we continue school.
Yeah, so it's more like year round almost.
Yeah, it's basically year round.
With just multiple smaller breaks, unlike the American school system is where I go, where it's like we have our 4 quarters terms, and which is 2 semesters, but then we have like our winter break, which is about 2 weeks long-ish, and then we have our spring break, which is 1 week, and that's like all the breaks we get, except for like presidential holidays and like national governmental holidays.
Yeah, we have public holidays like Labor Day, like the Queen or King's birthday, other public holidays. I can't remember half of them. There's a few. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now, okay, so that was the first segment. Segment number 2. Australia and like stuff more general. Okay. Is it true that in the southern hemisphere the toilets flush the other way? I mean, the water that goes down.
I have no clue, to be honest. I don't pay attention to whether they flush left or right. I mean, they don't flush up because that'd be a problem. I don't know. I don't know if they flush backwards or flush the other way. They very well might. Like I am open to the idea of them flushing a different way to American toilets. But yeah, I can't really help you there. Google will help you though.
Yeah, I was gonna say Google. Google will help you with a lot of stuff. You'd be surprised. All right. How do you deal with the spiders?
So, as you guys are probably aware via stereotypes, pretty much every insect and snake and lizard and amphibian and bugs in general, they want to kill you. They do. So what we do is Like in WA, which is Western Australia, the state I live in, we actually don't have that much venomous spiders. We have the redback, which is the black widow here. And the females are venomous, and if you get bitten a couple of times, you could probably die. But it's like curable. We have blue ringed octopus. Those are venomous. That's a story for another time. But what we typically do is if there's a spider in your house or like a cockroach or some sort of insect that looks kind of funky, you like kill it and then you squirt like you do the wiggle when you step on it and then you stomp on it a couple more times just to confirm that it's really dead. Then you look at it and you ask questions after that. Be like, oh, that one was harmless. Okay. Or you can be like, oh, I'm glad I stepped on that one. That one would have killed me. That's how we typically roll, especially in my house. We get some pretty big spiders, which are actually harmless. There's one called a huntsman and a wolf spider, which their body is about that big. And then in total, they're like that big with their legs included. One of them was sitting like on my parents' bathroom wall, and that was terrifying because I just wanted to go have a shower. And I walked in, and there was just this massive spider just like on the wall. And now I'm terrified of bugs, which is kind of ironic considering I'm from Australia and live in Australia, where I kind of got to be used to it, but I'm not. I hate bugs. I'm terrified of them. But yeah, that we do also have like annual like pest dudes come and like spray our house, and then for like a week afterwards, there'll just be like spiders like dead lying around the house, or like cockroaches like scurrying out from places, being like wanting to get away. We also have tons of bug spray. I like to overuse it just to make sure that I've really killed the bug. Like usually, like it says on the instructions, just like spray it like once and it'll like slowly die. But I'm like, nah, I'm gonna hold that until this thing just stops moving. But yeah, that's how we deal with spiders.
All right. All right. Is it scary living down under?
Honestly, no. It's not scary. Like you do have to be cautious, but it's not like you're gonna walk out of your door and everything's like gonna come at you. You just have to be cautious and like wary of your surroundings, but it's not scary at all. I love living in Perth. I think it is a fabulous place to live. But yeah, no, it's not scary whatsoever.
So live there if you want.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll be there. You can come say hi to me.
In a few weeks, she'll be back.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Well,
Yeah.
fortunately for her, because that's where she lives, but unfortunately for me, because I'm not going back. Because I've never been there. Anyways, have you seen tarantula, kangaroo, or other stereotypically Australian animals?
Yes, I have. I've seen lots of stereotypically Australian animals. In the wild and at like wildlife parks and whatnot. Like I've seen
Let me say Wild West.
wildlife. I've seen multiple kangaroos in the wild and zoos and things. I have seen not a tarantula, but like huntsman spiders, orb weaver spiders. We had one of those at my house. I walked right into its web, and that was probably one of the most scary experiences of my lifetime. I've seen wallabies, wombats, snakes, owls, cockatoos, galahs, rainbow lorikeets. Those guys are just flying around like casually. I've seen a quokka. I have a couple of photos of myself with a quokka. They live on Rottnest Island off the coast of WA. And they only live there. That's the only place they live in the world. Yeah, I've seen koalas. I have never seen a platypus, unfortunately, because I think platypus are really cool. I have seen an echidna. What other stereotypically Australian animals are there? I don't even know. Yeah, but I have seen quite a few.
All right, and then What part of Australia do you live? No, don't go like I live at this. Here's my whole address. Here's the
I'm not gonna
barcode.
give you guys my address. That's
No,
crazy.
but like
I live in Perth, Western Australia, which is on the west coast.
hence the word west.
Yeah.
Western
Western
WA.
Australia. WA stands for Western Australia. So basically, Australia, the continent itself, is basically as big as America, except America has like 330 million people populating it, whereas Australia only has 25 million because everyone lives on the coast because the middle of it is uninhabitable due to heat. And then we have Tasmania, which is like the little island bit that like just chills over there. But yeah, half, basically like 2/3, no, 3/4, half of Australia is like WA. We got WA on this side, and then it's like Northern Territory, South Australia, Victoria or Queensland, New South Wales. The ACT is technically called a state when it's literally just a city, but I'm not gonna get into all of that. And then Tasmania is another state. We only have 7.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
not a question, but the whole New Zealand thing. Where's
New Zealand? New Zealand is a completely different country to Australia. It's
okay?
in Polynesia, Oceania. It is not part of Australia. It is, yeah, it's off the coast of Australia. Like lots of Australians go to New Zealand for like a holiday or whatever, but it is not part of Australia.
Because I think the flag is similar, and I also think
The flag
similar.
is similar, and the accent is similar, but there are some key differences.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. How did the 2020 Australian bushfires impact you?
Yeah,
If you can think back 3 years ago.
Yeah, they were mainly on the East Coast, near Melbourne and Victoria and Queensland and New South Wales, all that area. They were mainly over there, but there were some in WA that were devastating. They didn't affect me and my family as much, except over on the East Coast. My cousins who live there, they could see blazes from their house, which is a little bit scary, like for them, also for me, because I was like, I don't want my cousins to die. I kind of like to see them again before that. They're also really young. They don't deserve to die at this age.
At this age.
At this age, yeah. I mean, like, well, the youngest is like 8 or something, and the oldest is like 15. And I'm like, yeah, no, you still got a lot of life to live. There was a lot of ash falling from the sky, kind of like snowflakes, but for Australians because we don't have snow.
Oh.
So yeah, there was a lot of ash that would just like kind of fall, and the air was pretty smoky, but it wasn't terrible. Like you could still go out and do normal life. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna skip this next one. Do these next 2, which are more related to what you already answered. So, what's the biggest spider you've seen?
A wolf spider. About that big.
Okay. How is the school system in Australia? It's kind of a callback to the last one.
Yeah. Kind of already explained it, but it's a year-round, 4 terms, 2 semesters. Semester breaks. I go to a private school, so like I said, we start earlier and later. We have very strict school uniforms, and it sucks. Public schools have this uniform so easy. It's like a polo shirt with like quick dry shorts in the summer, and then like track pants and like a tracksuit jumper or jacket. Sorry, in the winter. And that's their whole uniform. That's what they wear every day. They can wear whatever shoes they want. They can put up as much makeup as they want. They can do their hair color however they want, dye their hair however they want, do their hair however they want, have as many piercings as they want. Not at a private school. For winter uniform, I have to wear my black leather lace-up shoes, with black tights, the school skirt, the school stiff collared blouse, as well as one pullover jumper, and then like a blazer over that, as well as a tie. And like I wouldn't be able to do my hair like this for school. It'd have to be all tied up. You can only have 2 ear piercings. You can't have a nose ring. Can't have your helix pierced. No other piercings that are visible. You can wear a necklace, but it has to be like not visible. And then in summer we have to wear the school dress, which makes everyone look like a box, and it kind of sucks because my school photos are taken in my dress, and I look like a tent.
Oh my goodness.
I look like a legitimate tent.
Oh.
But yeah, that's basically how our school system works.
All right. Is everything actually upside down in Australia
I mean,
or in reverse?
I don't think so.
I mean, other than like driving, what about doorknobs? What about like
Light switches. Hold on.
She's gotta look at my light switch real quick, y'all.
So that would be off. You guys flick up to turn on and down to turn off. We do it the opposite.
So you flip up to turn it off and down.
So we flick down to turn on our lights, and then flick up to turn them off. And we don't have like the square ones, if you know what I mean, like the rectangle ones where you can put your finger under. They're kind of like a little button, and you kind of just like move. You can slide your finger over it. They're kind of like an oval.
Amazing.
And then the car, we drive on the left side of the road with the driver on the right-hand side of the car.
Okay, what side is the gas tank thing on though? Because usually, like, our gas tank is on the same side as the driver in most vehicles. Here, like in our car, the gas tank is on the left side, which is the same side the driver's on. But sometimes the driver's here, the gas tank's on this side, not this side.
I think it's the opposite. I mean, on my car at least, it's not on the same side. Like I'll be sitting in the passenger seat, and my mom or my dad will be sitting in the driver's seat, and they'll pull up to a gas station, and they'll get out and walk around to my side where the gas tank
So it's on the passenger side.
Yeah, it's on the passenger side.
Interesting.
Yeah. What else is in terms of upside? We don't walk upside down. It's not like America's here and then Australia's here, and like we're walking like this. We walk fine. Normally, it's not like I'm coming here. I'm like, whoa, I'm walking on the ceiling.
It's not a different planet, people.
No, it's not.
Even though they are on almost the other side of the planet, but they're still on the same planet.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not actually upside down.
It's just reversed.
Some parts are reversed and some parts aren't.
Okay, so sliding doors.
Sliding doors.
Do they slide from the right or slide from the left? Like you pull this way or you pull this way?
Slide from the
sliding
left.
doors. Like for example, like a shower door. Would you slide it to the left or the right?
We don't have sliding doors. We have push and pull in my house.
Okay, well,
but we usually slide from the left.
To close it or open it?
To close it. And then you...
Okay, I guess it depends on the design too.
Well, like our hallway door, we have a sliding door in our hallway. And so our hallway is like this. And if I'm standing facing this way, I'd be grabbing the handle and pulling it I'd be pulling it to the right, but grabbing it from the left to close it. And then to open it, I'd be pushing it back to the left from the right.
See, for us, that'd be closing, because we close it from the... Wait, no, I'm confused.
Anyways, yeah, so you get it from the right and close it, pull it to the left. And then to open it, you get it from the right, and then go to from the left, and then go to the right. Ours is the opposite. Okay,
so well, there you have it. There are some opposites. Anyways, already did that. Favorite food in Australia.
Favorite food in Australia. I mean, like I said, I really like Mexican food, but we don't have good Mexican food other than at my house. So I'd probably say like burritos are my favorite food. I love burritos. I also like sushi. Those are probably like my favorite like foods. But in terms of like stereotypically Australian food, there's not a lot. It's like white people food. That kind of encapsulates everything.
Other than Mexican.
Other than Mexican and like other cultures' food, we have like normal. Like we have macaroni and cheese. We got burgers and hot dogs. do barbecues and whatnot. My favorite food in Australia, probably I'm just gonna say sushi because we're an Oceania, so we can get lots of fish.
Nice. All right, this next one I'm actually gonna have her read aloud. So it's gonna be this top one right here. The can you say? Okay.
All right, can you say shrimp on the barbie?
There you go.
There you go. You have it, ladies and gentlemen. Shrimp on the barbie. Now, no one in Australia ever says shrimp on the barbie. We don't call it shrimp. We call it prawns. They're called prawns. No one ever shortens barbecue to barbie. Stereotype debunked.
Okay. Next one. What do you call flip flops? Because if you know, you know what some people.
Okay, so flip flops in Australia are called thongs.
And to us, that's
So
underwear.
Yeah. So if an American came to Australia and had no clue that we called flip flops thongs, they'd be like, "Oh, hey, I'm just like gonna like go out for a bit. You want to like go to the movies or whatever?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, give me a minute. Let me go grab my thongs."
Yeah.
You know how detrimental that would be to the relationship? They'd be like,
aren't you wearing
okay.
It's almost kind of like how like guys like boxers for underwear, and yet, why?
Yeah, so we call them thongs. But I generally use flip-flops. I say flip-flops most of the time.
Well, what do you think your siblings are like Holly? Like, what do you think she's gonna grow up saying?
I think she's gonna grow up calling it both because she'll grow up in an Australian school, but then in an American home.
So she might kind of go between, like you do, where you kind of go between.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for you, it's probably more awkward saying the other one.
It is a bit awkward saying thongs.
But for her, it probably wouldn't be because like if she hears that enough and she knows it means the same thing, like at least in Australia.
Yeah, but I mean, like if an American like told me they're gonna go grab the thongs, I'd be like, I don't think we're thinking this.
Just say I'm gonna grab my shoes.
Yeah, I say slides. Shoes. I say slides most of the time, whether they're like actual like slides or like thongs or whatever.
The shoes, yeah.
Yeah, the shoes, not the other one. No.
Anyways, okay. Okay. Biggest shocker. Okay, now we're on the family friends. Here we go. Biggest shockers / changes when you and Eli met again. Now, firstly, we've known each other, so we're not meeting again. Well,
we are meeting each other in person for the first time in almost
years.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
The biggest shock for me.
But preconceived, like here's two ways to phrase this. Biggest shocks when we and I saw each other again, like that you had before you saw me today, and the biggest shocks as of now that you've learned since you've been here, like in your house for the past hour.
Yeah. I'd say like once we like started reconnecting online, the biggest shock for me was probably when you got the haircut. Because I was always used to you having like long hair,
yeah,
and then you're like, then all of a sudden you're like, I'm gonna chop it all off. And I was like, whoa, okay, cool.
I kind of graying it out again, by the way.
Yes.
Okay.
I like you.
Glad you're happy with that.
I like you with long hair. You look really nice with long hair.
Okay.
Meeting you in person.
Talking today, right?
Yeah.
Meaning, okay, yeah.
Like
we already discussed the height thing, okay?
That's the biggest shock for me was the height.
To
be completely honest. Because like we called like a week before I like left to come here, and Eli was like, wait a minute, how tall are you? And I was like, I'm 5'4". And I was like, I'm shorter than that.
Okay, do you wanna actually try? Do you actually wanna? Okay,
comparing heights.
Yeah, we both have our shoes on, so it's pretty fair. It's pretty fair because we both have our shoes on.
But yeah, this is my height,
and this is my height. So we got like this much space between it.
Yeah. But it's okay because
You can remember
height doesn't matter.
that. No, I mean it's fine. There's nothing in there.
Eh.
It only matters when it comes to reaching things.
Well, yeah.
I
mean,
Which
I'm
is
used
like
to-
life.
Like in Australia, most of my friends are a lot taller than me, or they're either like extremely short. They're either super super short or super super tall. So I'm kind of like that middle ground. I have no friends that are like the middle ground. So like I'm used to most of my friends being taller than me and me having to be like, oh my gosh, hi. And like when I saw like family friends and like childhood best friends from here that are like now yonks taller than me, I'm like, it's so nice to see you after 8 years. Wow. Yeah, you've grown so much. And they're like, yeah, you have too. I'm like, no, I haven't. I haven't grown that much in height. But yeah, that's probably like the biggest shock in person. But I don't really care about height. Height can, if you're tall, if you're short, if you're mid, if
Neither.
you're neither, if you're just height is height. You're all just people. If you need help grabbing something because you're a bit shorter, that's fine.
Hop on the counter like I did.
Yeah. Plus, think of it. If you're short for the rest of your life, if you ever have like a high school reunion or something, or like you get together with all like your friends and whatever, and you're like, let's be kids again, let's play hide and seek. You will win because you can still fit in those really small places. Benefits.
Sure.
You won't ever have to duck under doorways. You can like you drop something underneath your desk. You won't have to worry about hitting your head on the desk because you're small enough to fit underneath and grab things out really easily. But yeah, that was probably the biggest shock.
Yeah. And then is that going to changes too, or is it not? Because it's big shock.
Changes.
I'm height is definitely a shock and a change, but there's any like change specifics that aren't really shocks to you, but that were like you knew it was gonna be a thing, but then
changes. I mean,
I could think of a few. Other than work.
yeah. Other than you getting like a job, you getting a boyfriend. That was like
Yeah.
came out of nowhere. I was like, whoa, good for you. I'm still single.
Doesn't mean like don't come at her, okay?
No, it's fine. I don't really care.
Okay. Meaning don't be like, oh you're gonna no, yeah.
You can have my
Internet people.
number. I don't really mind as long as you're nice. And not
Even I don't have your
weird.
number. Well,
Well-
I have your American number, but I don't have your Australian.
I can give you my Australian as long as you have WhatsApp.
I don't think I do. we have hangouts.
Yeah, we have hangouts. Fine.
We have emails.
Yeah. Those are the two biggest changes. As well as you cutting your hair. That was another change. Because, like, for the longest time, we call, like, as regularly as we could. And then...
Usually weekly.
Usually weekly, yeah. Eli would just have, like, really long hair. Like, tied up. Or, like, be like, sorry, I just, like, wash my hair. My head feels like it's about to be pulled off of my scalp.
You say your head. My head.
English doesn't work for me, okay? Head pulled
We're
off
talking
of my
about Australian and American accents, not language.
Yeah, people don't say that in Australia anyways. That's just me.
Okay. Good to know.
But yeah, those are probably some of the biggest changes.
All right. Favorite memory of you, like me.
Doing tests in your basement for homeschool. That was funny.
Yeah.
Because
you should tell them what happened. Like, you should tell them like that we used to homeschool even.
Yeah, so we used to be in the same homeschool group.
Way back when.
Way back when. Yeah.
Like 7 years ago.
We were like 7 and 8 years old. 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
Pretty much till she moved.
Yeah. So we would, as part of homeschool, you would have like people externally come and like sit your test. And now, like, usually most people could be like right next to each other doing the test or like separate a bit because like test conditions or whatever. But Eli and I had to be on separate parts of the room.
Yeah.
Like in Eli's
our own
basement,
desks.
I'd have a desk on this side and Eli have a desk on this side.
Facing opposite ways.
Facing opposite ways. Because as both kids with I think undiagnosed ADHD.
Mine is diagnosed, but yes.
For me, undiagnosed ADHD.
In my diagnosed ADHD.
We would not sit still. My brain could not think right. It would like I'd be like This
Maybe look
question,
over her
this question
shoulders.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we legit. I remember.
I
we,
didn't understand this question.
we literally did that. We literally would turn around and like.
and
ask
that's
each
why we
other.
had to have the test, like,
And then we got pizza
supervisor.
after.
Yeah, we get pizza afterwards. That was the best.
That's so good. That's
And then we
revenge.
played, like, what's that called? We played that one game
Yeah, one game.
with the crazy looking characters.
What?
Hullabaloo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing that in your
I
basement
don't know
as
if we
well.
still have that.
But yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
my favorite memory, doing tests in the basement
And
and not being able to sit still.
and you also have this picture, but you might fave.
Oh yeah, go for it.
This is a picture of me and her. I'm on the for you. Hopefully, I think for you it's the left side. I don't know what the flip is, but that's me, and that's her. So
I
that's,
still have the baby doll, by the way.
I think I still have mine too.
That's crazy.
Maybe in the attic. Anyways, this was in 2009.
So you were like 3 years old.
we both were probably
Yeah.
because we're the same age.
Mm.
No, well,
You're
close enough.
You're a few months older than me.
few months. Yeah, May 2006, and
So
then
you're
you're
6 months older.
in your November
2006. Yeah. 6
Yeah.
months older.
Yeah, so yeah, this is both of us with pigtails and the dolls and sitting kind of similarly, not really on the couch, not really actually. And then us, like, let's see, 2009, I can do the math. Like, let's see, 2023, so about 13 years later, right here. 13 years later, 13 years ago. Yeah.
Thankfully, I
So-
have changed a little bit. Because if you look at like my 8-year-old photos, I basically look the same.
Yeah, I mean mine probably too, similarly. All right, and then the next question. Oh wait, we already did the favorite memory. That was
Yeah.
the favorite memories.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you got any more. Why did no? Yeah, obviously, go into as much details you want, or not going to as much
Hmm.
details you don't want. Why did your family move to Australia?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Maybe you can mention when too. So like, 'cause we
Yeah,
kinda
so
hopped around.
my parents were both born. Well, my mum was born in Australia. My dad was born in the Philippines. He is white. He is American, but he was born abroad in the Philippines. As his parents were both missionaries, and so they grew up. My parents both kind of like grew up in the Philippines and anywhere and everywhere. And they met in high school when they went to the same high school called Faith Academy. And then they got married in Australia, and then it took a while for my mum to go over to Australia and America, come over to America, and then they lived here for 10 years. But it had always kind of been something that they had wanted, was to move back to Australia, because my mum's side of the family is all here, and my dad's side of the family is in here and China.
But here, do you mean Australia, or do you actually mean?
No, I mean America. Like my dad's side of the family is in America.
Okay.
And then my mom's side of the family is all in Australia. And so it had always kind of been like something that they had wanted to do was move back to be close to my mom's side of the family. So yeah, that's mainly why, is to be close to my mom's side of the family. Is why we moved. Other than that, there's not really a lot of reason why. I guess like it could be politically related. It could be like the gun violence and whatnot, but I got no clue. The reason my parents gave me was because they wanted to be close to my mom's side of the family.
Which is also totally legit, and that's true.
Mm.
Like,
and we moved in 2015.
Right before Halloween.
Right before Halloween, yeah.
I remember that very specifically because I was very sad, not happy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Moving on to more like random.
Yeah, this is the
questions.
random miscellaneous / personal stuff. Okay, what's your foot size?
My foot size.
Now you can say it Australian.
I will say it in
Australian
Australian because I don't know what the US conversion is, but I'm a 7.5 women's
in Australian.
in Australian.
So you can Google that if you.
That's my foot size. That's a size 8, and I have like a little bit like.
Wait,
that.
does it have what? Does it have like the Does it have like the thing where it says like US, UK?
It does.
Does it?
Hold on.
She's checking now.
It's a 7 men's. A 6
In
UK.
America?
Yeah, it says US men's 7. Size
Interesting.
7. But yeah, in Australia that equivalates to 7.5 women's.
All right, good to know. Anyways,
So that's my foot size.
so if you want to get
Random
some
question, but
shoes,
hey.
do you like Bluey? It's an Australian TV show.
I love Bluey. Bluey is so good. It's genuinely one of my favorite shows of all time. I don't care if it's meant for little kids. It's meant for families, and I have a large one at that. And Bluey is just
Well, siblings, lots of siblings in the family
In the
that she's
family.
part of. Not.
Yeah.
I love how people nowadays can be like, wait, what?
Yeah. I love Bluey. I think it's an amazing show, and I'm going to show my future husband that show so he can get parenting tips.
Okay. Do you like the Misfits?
Never heard of that.
Australian TV show.
I've heard. Wait, that's a lie. I have heard of it. Never watched it. Have no idea what it's about. So I can't really answer that fairly. I will say I remain neutral.
Google it. Anyways, do you know Swagger Souls? It's a music thing, I think.
No,
It's a music group. Okay.
I have no clue what that is.
You can also Google that. Anyways, can you reenact Love Island? by
I've
yourself?
never watched Love Island purely because I personally don't really agree with it.
How can you not agree if you've never seen it?
Well, like I've seen
Or, like, do you
snippets of
know
it
the-
and I know what it is, but
premise?
it's like I think it's just so risky. Why would you risk all that money? Like if you're super desperate, I get it, but like you're putting in a lot of money into this, and then like you go and you meet some random person and you have every part of your love life filmed and put on TV for everyone to see. Like you get no privacy. And me personally, I'm like, I prefer to have more privacy. I don't think I can reenact it for legal reasons.
Yeah.
I think I would get Eli's YouTube channel canceled.
Yeah, it probably would be.
But if you want to look up Love Island, by all means,
Who's
I'm
stopping
not
you?
stopping you.
The
I'm not
internet.
stopping you.
Have you pet a kiwi?
Have I pet a kiwi? Kiwis are a native New Zealand animal, bird, flightless.
So not the fruit, just letting you know.
I mean, I have technically pet a kiwi fruit.
But
I mean,
we're
I don't
talking
like
about-
grab a kiwi and like pet it. I mean, I've held one and been like, wow, that's pretty fuzzy. But in terms of the bird, no, I've never pet one. I've never seen one in person. I've only seen photos.
Okay. Okay, now this is in like second person, whatever it's called.
Mhm.
Does she have pets? Do you
I do have pets. I have a pet cat. Her name is Oreo, and she hates me with a passion.
Okay.
Funny story about Oreo. She's a black and white spotted. She's not like black, white, black, unfortunately, but she has spots, black and white spots. Well, no, she's white with black spots. There we go. I saved up so much money because I was obsessed with cats and was like, I want a kitten so bad. So I saved up all my money from my allowance from my parents for a year, and they helped me like pay for it, and I got a cat. I was so happy. And then a year later, I found out I was allergic to cats and dogs and pretty much everything. So I was like, oh no, now I can't have my cat cuddling with me because I'm allergic and I'll suffer for hours if I have my cat in my lap. And then I can't have my cat on my clothes because it will contaminate my clothes. We also did have a dog. His name was Coleman. He was a beautiful English Staffy. He was big, like he was a tank, like he was huge. But unfortunately we had to rehome him because our neighbors were terrified of him.
Oh.
Because he wasn't great with other dogs, and he was a bit overprotective of my younger sister Junia, who was 4. He bit our neighbor's dog twice because the dog came up and started sniffing Junia, and my dog didn't like that, so he bit the dog twice, like on the ear and then like on the mouth or whatever. And our neighbors like told like my dad, like every time your dog is around, like I tell my kids to, like run inside. And my dad was like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. We will rehome him." And our neighbors were genuinely shooketh. They were like, "No, we're not asking you to do that." And my dad was like, "Well, I'd rather be in good relationship with our neighbors than have them terrified of us because of our dog." So we rehomed him, and we took him to like a proper rehoming shelter, and all the dogs there are so sad looking. Like they just look so scrawny, and they look like they Like some of them are rescue dogs, I think. But like our dog was like, he got adopted 2 days after we like got him into the rehoming shelter because like no one ever sees a dog look that good looking and that lovely in a rehoming shelter. So I also had a bird, but he died because he got allergic to himself. When I see you guys in person today, I will. If you are interested in that story, ask away.
Yeah. Also, let's see you guys in person thing, because when we're filming this, she's gonna get to meet some of my other friends who are watching this right now during the live portion of this live. So for anyone in the future, not applicable, but that's that. It is. What's your favorite animal? Just like I think in general.
My favorite animal in general, I have a few.
Okay.
I like ducks and frogs and otters, sea otters.
So water animals.
Yeah.
How about crocodiles? Alligators.
No, those things are scary. No, I like sea otters and
Oh, they're cute.
ducks and frogs.
Nice.
I love frogs. Frogs are hilarious.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your star sign?
My star sign. I'm a Scorpio. Now, please don't stereotype me because I don't conform with most of the stereotypes of a Scorpio.
Like if you were to Google what is a Scorpio,
Yeah, it would not be accurate
to
to
this
me.
person.
Hopefully. I try not to be violent. With my friends sometimes, like I get a little, I could be like a little playful slap or whatever, but I'm not gonna.
It's not like no,
I'm not gonna like actually try and bash someone up. I don't want to do that to anyone.
No, yeah.
But yeah, that's my star sign.
Interesting because mine is Taurus, and it's actually quite accurate for me.
Oh, that's great.
No, part of it's probably ADHD. See, now it makes things hard because it's like, is it ADHD or is it actually me? Anyways,
that's yeah. That's great.
All right, so that's the Q&A section, but we're not done yet. Okay, so if you want to continue this.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so code switching. I wanted to make a separate segment, so I'm gonna say this because I'm gonna forget later. 10208 is close to the start of this next segment. So, anyways, okay, now these are things I just came up with because of other conversations and stuff. Okay, how would you define code switching, and what does that mean / what does that mean to you based off how you define it?
So
I guess you can answer what's code switching first.
So code switching is when it's kind of hard to explain now that it's actually put into a question form. I would say code switching is when it can be accents, is mainly accents, I would say. So with accents, code switching would be when you're in a predominantly, like for me, Australian environment, my accent will switch. And based on what I'm hearing, the accent that I'm hearing a lot, my voice, I can switch and kind of make my voice sound more of an Australian accent to kind of, I guess, adapt and fit in with my Australian friends. Versus, and like I said, it can be subconscious and conscious. For me, it's both. When I'm in that environment, as I get away from that environment and I'm with my family, my voice will code switch to what is normalized there. Like the American accent is like very prominent there. But then sometimes it happens when I'm like, my parents come pick me up from hanging out with friends, and I'll be talking to my friends, and then my dad or my mom will be like, "Oh, Renata, time to go," and I'll turn to them and be like, "Yep, okay, I'm coming," and then I'll turn back, and all my straight friends are like, I was like, "What?" They're like, "Your accent." I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So really, just like it's basically going from one accent to another, depending on the environment that you're in. That's how I define it.
Nice. Okay, and then you kind of said, in a way, someone answered, "How do you code switch? Like how does that change for you?"
Yeah. I can like put it on command now. Like I don't have to like really think about it. Like I can just kind of roll in and out of my American and Australian accent. Um, I'd say like my default is probably American, but then again, yeah, it just depends on what environment I'm in.
Yeah, because interesting. 'Cause I feel like I'm hearing more Australian actually. I hear you slip back into American, but
Yeah,
I hear
yeah.
Australian more like today so far. I've heard mostly Australian, but I've heard you slip into American, just like off
Yeah.
and on.
Yeah, well, it's like I know that
Like there's
I'm
Australia right
around.
there.
Yeah, like I know that I'm around
In American.
Americans and I'm around like Eli's friends, which are American, which are like, and I'm Australian, and I know that like Americans like love accents and whatnot, and so it's like I've had it in my mind for a couple of days to be like, put on your Australian accent so they can really like authentically hear what an Australian
There you go.
might sound like.
The R's I think are very prominent.
The
with it.
R's, we don't say R, it's ah. It's like
It's very open.
very, very, very open.
For me, it sounded like W because R's I had to have speech therapy before, so
Yeah.
so I can't try without saying W.
Yeah. But yeah, I
Like, what are a few words that would sound very different in an American accent versus Australian accent? Could you pick out a few other than like
Car.
Barbie? Okay, so can you pick a few words and say back to back in both in like what the word Australian accent and American, and
Mhm.
another word Australian and American back
Okay.
to back?
So it'd be like car and car. No, no,
I love the no in Australian. It sounds so I don't know.
no. Crazy, crazy. That one doesn't sound too bad, too different, but it's a little bit. It's like it's mainly the O's and the R's.
Yeah, the
O's and
AR,
R's.
the OR. So we have okay.
It's
Wait,
like color and color.
Oh.
Favorite, favorite.
Is that? Do you also spell
And the
with the
A.
U?
Bro, the amount of times I've gotten marked down on my essays because I got like grammatical points removed because I spelled color incorrectly.
Did you spell COLOR and not
Mhm.
COLOUR?
Mhm.
So it's actually that matters.
It does.
I mean, I guess it does
A
because it's
little bit,
English,
yeah.
but interesting.
Yeah.
Can you just explain to the teacher? Be like person, like
I
teacher.
did. I told them
American.
I'm American. And this is kind of like my default. They're like, sorry, love. We can't do that. Like, you need to be like, I don't care if you're from America. Like, that's cool and all, but you need to be able to adjust and adapt and write in the correct Australian form. I'm like,
Holding it all back.
fine. Okay. I can do that. But yeah.
Okay.
Rundown of code switching, I guess.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. I mean, it might be a little repetitive at this point, but okay. Making the conscious decision versus just naturally happening. What's the typical like? How often do you naturally just switch your accents, and how often is it that you actually like had to think about it and you change it?
Well, like if I'm in public with like especially being here, being like going to Walmart to get something, like I'll be talking to like my brother and my dad who are here with me, and I'll be talking to my American accent, and then I'll be talking to the cashier in my American accent. And so if I were to do my Australian accent in that setting, it would take a lot because I feel like I sound so out of place and sound really odd. Using my Australian accent in a very American public space.
Because you have your American accent.
Because I do know what an American accent sounds like. If I had no clue whatsoever what an American accent would sound like, this was just my accent all the time.
Which wouldn't even be an accent to her if it was her only accent, because to us it'd be an accent, but to her it'd just be normal.
So that'd be a lot easier. But usually it's conscious when I'm in like a public space. Or like I'll be talking in my American accent to my family, and then I'll have a friend from Australia call me, and I'll then naturally switch to talk to them, and be like, "Oh, hey, how you going? Oh, that's crazy, whatever." And then like my dad will pop his head and be like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just talking to so and so" in my American accent back to my dad, and then I'll switch back depending on who I'm talking to. But yeah, it's subconscious and conscious for me depending on like my environment.
The situational context.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last one is how often do you find yourself speaking one accent over another on location? Meaning, so I wrote like USA versus Australia, meaning like, and I guess you can kind of say how you want to, being like, if you find yourself speaking, I mean, I guess more Australian accent in Australia, more American in America, but I feel like with your Australian accent, you carry that over because you're only here for a short amount of time. But you've been in Australia for the past like 7 so years, that it's easier to keep that than to switch back, I feel like. If you know what I mean by the question.
Yeah. So, like I said multiple times before, it really just depends on my location and my environment. Like, I found myself speaking more American here than when I live in Australia, and more Australian when I'm over in Australia than I'm when I'm over here. And it takes a lot more conscious decision to speak in my American accent at school in Australia and vice versa over here. So it's like if you meet me in person, I'd be like talking like normal.
Well, meaning
normal in my American accent, or if like people say like, "Oh, can you do an Australian accent?" Be like, "Oh yeah, sure, righto." Like you just have to keep talking to me. Because if like you then like, can you do an Australian accent and then don't talk to me, I'll like be like, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever." But then it'll probably like slip back into my American accent after a while. But yeah, that's code switching for you.
All right. Anything else you think that they should know about you,
About
your
me?
family, Australia? Anything in the topics we talked about? Anything?
Australians love America so much. Like they want to go to America. They love America. But Americans, they think are like these very flamboyant, really loud, gun-toting, shooting drug dealers. Like I've literally had someone come up to me and be like, I don't even know how the topic of cocaine got brought up, but it got brought up, and one person in like out of the 3, including me, that were like talking, turns to me and was like, "Oh, Renata, you know what that would taste like," and like, it's like, right, because you're American. And I was like,
as if underage. Thank you very much.
No, I don't know what cocaine tastes like, nor do I want to find out. And like, people ask me, "So do you shoot guns? Do you own guns?" I was like, "Yeah, I own guns. I live in America, though. Do I shoot guns all the time and run around like shooting up schools? No, I don't think it's right at all." And so yeah, I have a lot of stereotypes. One of my friends, her boyfriend, refuses to call me by my name, and it's actually a bit of a problem because he refuses to call me by my name, and will only refer to me as school shooter.
Oh, that is a huge issue. I was like, "Oh, did you just call you like Tay Tay? Did you call you like something else?" I was like, "No, that's
No,
it." No.
he calls me school shooter.
That is real messed up.
And I like my friend will kind of like laugh and be like, "Don't say that," and whatnot. But he's like, and then continues. I meant to have a conversation about that. But yeah, there are a lot of stereotypes, both Americans for Australians and Australians for Americans. So feel free to break every stereotype. Like, I mean, I am American, so it's like I know I'm familiar with stereotypes and try my best not to conform by them. I mean, sometimes I kind of have fun with it and like
the shrimp on the Barbie thing.
Like the shrimp on the Barbie. No one ever says that.
That kind of, yeah.
But it's like it's a little bit of fun. But yeah, Australians kind of think Americans are like crazy, and then I mean, Americans sometimes can think that Australians are like Americans that are like drink too much beer walk around shirtless and shoeless and go surfing every day, and like walk outside and there's like we ride kangaroos to school.
Oof.
No,
Riding
I drive.
kangaroos
I drive in a car to school
on the left side, but like that's
on the
really
left.
it.
Yeah. One stereotype the industry is lots of things want to kill you, mostly insects and bugs and whatnot.
Oh, it's the whole driving thing reminds you. Where's the exit? Do you go exit on the left? Like when you exit onto like Route 80, like
yes, it's on the left.
Okay, because I was like, if you drive on the left, you can't really go to the right because you're crossing the other traffic.
Cool, yeah.
Anything else?
No, but thank you for doing this with me. This was really fun.
All right, cool. Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for asking questions. They were very interesting.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Yeah, and if there's any other things, there's always gonna be the chat box down below. You can put it down below. I talk to this person a lot. Even if that means I'm staying up till like 3 a.m. Maybe I shouldn't be. She's just like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I can easily like get questions over. You can also Google. That's you can fact check, but you can also Google. Yeah, so hopefully I got some of the questions answered. Hopefully that's a little amusing. Hopefully for my friends who wanted to meet her, who unfortunately will not get the chance to today because they're out of town, watch this, kind of get the vibe. And yeah, so yeah, we're glad she agreed to be on.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. All right, and that is that. This is the video for tomorrow, I guess. Actually today, because it'll go up as soon as I click the button. So yeah, until next week.
Thank you for having me on your channel.
Yeah,
it
thanks
was
for being on.
Nice to virtually know that some of you are watching me, and not in a creepy way, but yeah. I hope I educated you. I hope I was able to educate you a bit about Australian culture and a bit what being an Aussie American is like. But yeah.
All right, and until next time, bye.